Hey there, here's a thought. Imagine yourself as a dog, all right? Put yourself into the mindset of a dog and think about what you do with your doggy days. You may wake up in the morning, sniff around the house, get yourself a drink of water. Maybe at some time during the day, a human being will put food in a bowl and you'll eat some of that food. You may decide to hide some of that food in one of the human's shoes because you never know when you're going to need some extra food stashed away. And of course, you spend some time sort of checking out and investigating things, paying attention to what's in your environment, and sometimes doors open and you're allowed to go outside. You may go out there and keep the place free of squirrels as best you can. Maybe bark it up a bit and let the other creatures in the general neighborhood know whose territory this is. And on weekends, you go and you go out the front door, and the human invites you into a car, and that automobile drives you to a dog park. And there you run around with a whole bunch of other dogs. And there you play, and there's maybe some humans will throw balls, and you'll chase after them, see if you can be the first dog to get it. And you sort of socialize with these other dogs and hang out with them and play with them in various ways. Deal sometimes with some pretty, socially complicated situations when maybe there's one dog that's not really that good with other dogs, gets let into the dog park, and you do your doggy stuff. Excuse me. And that's you as a dog. So let me ask you this: how much smarter, speaking generally, would you say humans are than dogs? I want you to use your. Sorry, I let a little alert pop up on my phone there. I want you to use your human intelligence to ponder the question of how much smarter are you than a dog? And I want to remind you of the fact that human beings built the car. Human beings built the dog park. Human beings manufacture the dog food. Human beings developed the entire economic system that allows one particular human being to acquire the means to purchase an automobile, learn how to operate it, drive to a store, purchase dog food, bring it back, store it somewhere, and take it out and meter to mounts and feed it to the dog every day in a way that keeps the dog healthy and happy. So these are all functions of human intelligence. And also just think of all the other just things that human beings have done. I mean, we've done some pretty amazing stuff. So yes, while a dog may be better at certain functions than human beings, overall, the human mind, it has a higher ceiling than the dog mind. But how much higher? So I just want you to put a number to it. It doesn't matter how accurate this is. Just, for sake of a thought experiment. Would you say dogs are 7 times less intelligent than humans? Or let's put it in the positive. The human beings are 7 times smarter than dogs, on average. Is it 50 times smarter, 100 times? Maybe human beings are 1,000 times smarter than dogs. I'm not totally sure how you would measure that. But let's just put a number on it. Let's say human beings are 50 times smarter than dogs, broadly speaking. Okay, so go back into your doggy mind, all right? You as dog. You're at the dog park, and you notice something. There is this one dog that gets the ball way more often than the other dogs. And you realize that that one dog, he's anticipating where the human's going to throw the ball. When the human goes like this, some of the dogs jump up and down, maybe circle the human, but this other dog will run almost to the exact spot that that ball is going to be thrown. And when the human throws the ball, that dog gets it. And so you observe that this dog's being smarter than those other dogs. And you have a fun day at the dog park, and your human eventually takes you back to the house that you share with the human, and you go back to your dog duties there and your dog recreations and, the things you do in your doggy day. And you get thinking about being a smarter dog because you want to catch the ball. Now, using your doggy mind, not you as a human being in real life, but you as this imaginary dog, what do you think dog version of you would believe 50 times smarter means? 50 times. So if a dog imagines a dog becoming 50 times more intelligent, what does that dog imagine that will accomplish? Probably not most of the things that human beings do. A dog, imagining himself being 50 times smarter, would probably believe that he is 50 times better at catching the ball, and that he is 50 times better at getting the squirrels out of the yard and keeping them out. He may even think, if I were just 50 times smarter, if I were that smart, I'd be able to turn the faucet on in the sink and get my own water. I'd be able to go to the cabinet, open it up, pull out the dog food bag, get it open, and get myself food anytime I wanted. If I could just figure it out. If I was 50 times smarter, I could. The dog is not going to say, you know what, if I were 50 times smarter, I would develop an economic system that allowed me to go out and get a job and earn money so that I could go to the store and buy my own food. That's not going to occur to a dog, that's what 50 times smarter means. And in fact, most of what humans do is kind of invisible to dogs. Most of what humans can do, it's not stuff that dogs even think about as something that one does. No dog's going to say, if I were 50 times smarter, I would develop the space program. It just doesn't happen. So, go back to your human self. What would a being that is 50 times smarter than any human being do? What would 50 times smarter than human intelligence be capable of? Who knows? Is it something we can even imagine? So, here are two ways to apply this. One, human beings, as smart as we are in the active pursuit of developing artificial intelligence of various kinds that, in very narrow and specific ways, already surpasses us. We can build a machine that plays chess better than any human. We can build machines that play Go to beat humans now, too. That's a recent thing. But we're working on building machines, or really software, that can surpass humans in all sorts of ways. If we attain that sort of holy grail of a generalized artificial intelligence, and we create something that is significantly more intelligent than human beings, setting aside any nature or any notion of whether it's has a soul, whether it's capable of morality, whether it has emotion, all those other things that come up in a Star Trek episode that deals with artificial intelligence. Just from a pure intelligence standpoint, it's important to realize that if we are capable of creating such a thing, then we are, in effect, going to be creating something that will have capabilities that we can't imagine right now. Things that it would never occur to us would be worth doing, would be things it would be very good at doing. As an aside to that, I wonder, is there some sort of logical constraint that says that a less intelligent thing cannot create a generally more intelligent thing, right? Like, it's hard to imagine dogs, well, let's bump it up a level, a team of the smartest chimpanzees creating a human mind. It just doesn't seem likely. But does that mean that human minds cannot create an artificial intelligence that is to humans what humans are to chimps or to dogs or whales or porpoises or pigs or whatever intelligent thing you want? I don't know. It's an interesting question. Anyway, so that's one of the applications. The second application of this idea is when in religions people speak of God or gods, there are different versions of what a god is. But a very common image of God in the Christian tradition, as well as in Western religion in general. I don't know as much about Eastern religions, particularly Hinduism, to speak to it there, but at least within the three Western religions of the book, God is considered infinitely wise and all-knowing. And this omniscience and this divine wisdom aren't depicted as, God is the smartest person you've ever met. It's not how it's depicted at all. But rather that there's, excuse me, that there's an infinite depth to divine intelligence. So, if a divine intelligence tries to explain itself to us, how's that going to work out? See, I think a lot of the human race's struggles with trying to understand ideas like divinity comes down to the fact that we're capable of acknowledging that there is something out there, or at least that there could be something out there that is capable of perspectives and qualities and abilities beyond our imagining. So we can imagine that there is that which is beyond our imagining, but we can't actually imagine that because it's beyond our imagining. And especially once you start to talk about things like infinite wisdom, because the infinite can't really be contained within the finite. So a finite mind can't actually properly understand an infinite mind. We can understand aspects of it, and we can talk about analogies for it, which is, makes sense when you look at, for instance, the Swedenborgian perspective that says that sacred texts, the Bible in particular, but others as well, if they are divine, if they are from God, then they have embedded within them layers of meaning, because that's really the only way that you can communicate anything of the divine to a human mind, is through sort of like a superset, not a superset, but a superior form of metaphor. Anyway, that's a thought. One final sort of random thought, sort of thinking about God now and going back to can human beings create an artificial intelligence that is so intelligent it's unimaginable to humans? Imagine that, setting aside the Judeo-Christian concept of God, what if, and this is, I guess, more of a sci-fi hypothetical here, what if not only is it possible for human beings to create artificial intelligences that are effectively godlike in their intelligence to human beings and are capable of things that human beings would never have anticipated? What if human beings are themselves the creation not of some infinitely wise creator being, but rather are the invention of a lesser intelligence that had no idea what it was creating when it created humans? Now, sort of thinking that through in terms of how would I write a story or a novel around that concept, there are some serious barriers there. But it's a seed of an idea. Anyway, just thought I'd share those things with you. I've been listening to some Sam Harris podcasts recently, and some of the stuff on artificial intelligence sparked some thoughts, and I just thought, I'd share them with you. All right? It was a little bit of a long video, but I hope it was enjoyable to you, and I hope you're having a good day. See ya.